All right, I know the sugar from the donuts is starting to wear off and everybody's starting to get drowsy, so I will make this as brief and concise as possible. My name is Ed Cunningham. Who I am a veteran. I am a firefighter paramedic. And yes, I was part of the firefighter union, and I was not always the most popular person on there because I was one of the few Republicans that would stand up and say, we're not going to do this just because we can, the city can't afford it. A lot of people like to use that to try and strong arm people to doing things. I'm totally against that. Why am I a write-in? Let's handle that first and foremost. So over 2 years ago, I had conversations with the current mayor and city council members about me running for mayor. I had been asked for quite a while to run for mayor. For those of you who know me as the Firehouse Subs guy, I recognize faces all over here, people that have come in and sat down with me. One of the things I loved about my restaurant is I had a chance to really get to know and understand the community that was here. My family's been in the valley since the 1950s. My grandparents bought 2 acres in North Phoenix in the 1950s, and we still have it today. It's actually 19th Avenue in Dunlap, which was North Phoenix back then. Grew up in the valley, used to hunt out here when I was younger, and it amazes me that what used to be a gas stop on the way to Wickenburg and on the way to Kingman has turned into the amazing city of Surprise that it is. I've loved being a part of it as a first responder. I've loved being a part of it as a businessman. I've brought over $11 million in revenue through the city. I've paid out over $3.3 million in payroll to locals who live within Surprise. And I have helped to bring over $92 million in grants to fire, police, and military throughout the United States. My own personal contribution out of the restaurant was over $200,000 that we raised through the restaurant for the Public Safety Foundation. I have been kind of in the background, and I've enjoyed that for a while. I have been a big part of mediating a lot of things that have happened within the city between civilian groups, between residents, and between the city. And I've come to learn that a lot of that is because there's just a breakdown and understanding of what the office of mayor, what the city council members can do, what the city manager can do. And honestly, we need limited government. You know, we had a big breakdown with the Dominion project where residents, which is actually a bunch of my neighbors because I live right over there, were really upset about the Section 42 housing that was going in there. They approached me, asked me to use my influence, asked me to use Firehouse Subs to get signatures, and I said, well, give me a minute, because this is what you're gonna get from me as a mayor. I said, give me a minute to do my homework. So I spent the next week calling people that I knew, county level, state level, city level, talking to understand what was going on. And here's some of the problems we're facing in Surprise. We're facing decisions that were made 15 years ago that we really can't have a lot more than influence on because they were made without foresight for the future. They were made without people understanding what the future was gonna look like for Surprise. They had too small-minded of a vision of what Surprise was gonna look like. The 2 things that we have to focus on with the office of mayor is that we make decisions understanding that we can't just punt the ball down the road for future generations to deal with. We have to have a mind for 40, 50, and even 100 years out when we make decisions today. But we also need people who are able to negotiate through and build bridges between the mistakes that were made in the past and what we're trying to accomplish today. That's something that I bring a wealth of knowledge to the office of mayor with. So why am I a write-in candidate? Years ago, I was thinking about running for mayor. I had been encouraged to run for mayor. One of my good friends who is on city council, who I've actually known since high school, we both went to Moon Valley High School, asked me to support him in his run for mayor, and I did. We did a fundraiser for him. We decided to support him. I sold my restaurant at the end of last year and began working on other projects that I wanted to invest in and bring to Surprise when in late January, he sprung it on me that because of some issues that he's having, he was going to withdraw his candidacy for mayor. He asked me if I would be willing to run. I will not make a commitment to something that I can't 100% know that I can follow through with. Because of other investments and partners that I had already started to line up after the sale of my restaurant, in that moment, I couldn't make a 100% commitment. And that's what the office of mayor needs. A 100% commitment, a full-time mayor who's not just gonna be there part-time, but can be there full-time when the city needs him to be there. Unfortunately, it took me about 4 months to completely rearrange my entire life to be able to do this. And I did that. I did that because of how passionate I am about the office of mayor and what I can bring to it. One of the things we need in the office of mayor that I bring, and I'm Going to share a little bit of a personal story, a servant style leadership, someone who is actually boots on the ground leader. So during the rioting that was going on, I received a phone call from someone that I trust very high up in the state who said, Ed, there's going to be Antifa showing up over at the Target by your restaurant. So I closed the restaurant down. I sent my employees home. I did a post on Facebook that said, hey, just want to let everybody know in the area I'm closing my restaurant because we have credible evidence that there's going to be rioting in the Target parking lot. I put that out there. I called some of my friends and I said, there's going to be 3 of us in the parking lot. 35 people showed up, civilians, and I'll be honest, we were all armed. We were all armed. I believe in Second Amendment rights, and I believe in us exercising those rights for the protection of our community. Thank you. 35 people showed up just from 1 or 2 phone calls and one social media post. We sat in the parking lot. One of the police officers approached me and said, hey, Ed, look, this is what we need you to do. We're going to ask you to stand back, and if we need you, we're going to ask for your help. He goes, so if you can talk to your group. So we got together, made sure everybody was actually kind of formed up into what would have been platoons. And then we actually had leadership going. Over the next 2 hours, we had carloads of college-age kids pulling in with masks on their faces and parking over closer to Lowe's. So we sat there with about a football field between us, 3 unmarked in between us, as well as marked cars that were driving through. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. They sat over there in their line of cars taking pictures and videos and texting God knows who, but nothing happened. I am a boots on the ground. I am a servant leader, and I have no problem going out into the public to do the things that need to be done. My name is Ed Cunningham, and I am asking for your write-in vote for Mayor of Surprise.